Today on Curiosity Kitten is the exciting conclusion of the Pinwheel lap quilt. We will do the quilting stitch as well as putting an edge or a border around the outside. Welcome to Curiosity Kitten, where I make videos attempting to demystify making. Arts, crafts, baking, and making in general. I do this by showing projects, including the setbacks, mistakes, and experimentation. Making things is not a perfect process. Errors will be made, but learning from the mistake and finding a solution is part of the fun. Well, hello. How are you? You gotta check it out first. Slight delay. Do you accept? Do you approve of it? What are you doing? Come on, get down. Okay. So I still have the pins in it. Now I just want to, I pulled those threads out a little bit to get those ready. And now I'm going to get my line on there. Get myself all organized. And you're gonna start. So I have it on a straight stitch, not a zigzag. And I am going to do it the way I learned how to sew, where you go a little bit and then use the reverse, kind of lock everything together and then go forward. And I'm just keeping my line in the separation between the presser foot. I will take a picture and show you that. Again, not in a hurry. You can still go as fast as you want, but you're not in a hurry. I know when I go faster, I feel like I'm gonna get done quicker, but it does seem to be a little wobbly of a line instead of a straighter line. So we're going to go slowly and prevent Walker from, Skywalker, get out of there, getting into the trash to pull all the scraps out. So I'm noticing as I sew, things are like realigning themselves underneath, and so it's making the fabric feel kind of wobbly or like ripply, and so I'm removing some of the pins as I get kind of close so that it can fold or unfold itself and not get any creases in the stitching. To the end, so now I'm reversing again just to lock it in place, pull it out, slice it on the little cutter, and now we have a stitch on this. So now I'm going to snip off the excess thread from the other side. We're ready for the second line, so we get our threads out to the side, get the next row in, and now this is where you will start to see, like, as you do the stitching across, you'll have to roll up the excess fabric so that it can go through here, because there is no place for it to go out here because it runs into the machine. The first stitch, I kind of straightened it out as I went. Things got a little shifted, but nothing overlapped. So as we go this time, I can't shift more off to this side because it'll make a big poof. So I want to make sure that everything keeps getting smoothed out this way. And then with all of the subsequent stitches, we'll continue to do the same thing by making sure that all the excess fabric and everything goes off in that direction. And just keep an eye on the stitches as they come out the backside. Because we will run out of bobbin thread. We can see what's going on with this thread, but we can't see what's going on with the bobbin without pulling it out, and then it makes a big loop and that sort of thing. So you don't want to do that. So we can keep an eye on this, but we have to look at the stitching behind where we've stitched to ensure that we don't run out of bobbin thread. When that happens, I will show you what that looks like so that you can know what to look for. Hey, get down, you're pulling on my fabric. Do you need attention? Come here. You need attention, Bubba. It's all right. I'm gonna be honest, with the bubbling and stuff that's going on, I don't think I'm gonna be as extreme with the quilting that I was gonna do with the chevron pattern. I think we're just gonna do bare minimum, like squares-ish. Or we might just see what it looks like after just doing the lines. We'll just assess as we go. You're making it and you can make up the rules as you go. There is no reason to stay set in one way or the other. I am going to turn and work around so there's not as much rolled up in the gap. Let me just kind of realign everything with some force. Wow. So we didn't run out of bobbin while I was sewing, but it ran out as I was pulling out the rest of it. So now if I pull the bobbin out, it is totally empty. That has never happened before. I'm very impressed. We still have to put a binding around the edge. So we are going to clean up the cuts around the edge and then pull the contrasting fabric to cut it to put a binding on it. So you'll see how that works here in a second. Now you can see the back with the quilting that has been done. The front has been quilted with the accent thread. We're about to run out of thread here because you can see that the one half of it is empty. We're gonna push through anyway. I might increase the stitch length just to use less thread. Again, this is not a blanket being used by a child. I'm gonna have it in my car or at work for my lap. So it's not gonna go through a lot of wear and tear. It won't get washed a lot. So I'm just being ultra conservative about how I'm using my time and materials. Doing the quilting in just the straight lines for this purpose totally makes sense. I know part of the reasoning was because the fabrics were all getting bubbly and weird and I didn't want to have to deal with that. So if I were going to spend more money on a better type of fabric and go through the steps of making sure everything stays aligned and doesn't get bubbly, I would probably spend the extra time and thread to make the chevron pattern, but it doesn't make sense. So right now I'm going to clear off the tabletop and figure out how much of the accent fabric I need for the binding around the outside, and then we'll come back and get that pinned on and get that sewn. This is our accent fabric. Because this is just a lap blanket, I don't want it to be too big of binding. So I'm thinking just an inch So we'll need an inch for the top, an inch for the bottom, and then a 1/4 inch fold over for the seaming. That's 2.5 inches. So we need 2.5 inch wide strips of this to go around the whole thing. And what we're doing is taking the strips of fabric and folding them over so that they'll have little seams so that we don't have ragged edges on the edge. The quilt will go in here like my finger, and it'll wrap around and finish off the edge so that we don't have all of the open layers showing. Now we want to fold them all in half. We are going to get this to be 3/4 of an inch with the tuck unders. We'll just fold these over, get them so they're even first, and then we'll get our gauge out and see. Oh, I did that pretty well. So go ahead and iron that, but I'm also going to get pins so that while I iron I can make sure that it's staying. I don't know where my quilt clips are that hold everything together, and the pins were too small for the layers of fabric, but I have binder clips, so that's what I've chosen to use. In finishing these off and putting the binding on, I am cutting one edge flush and then turning it. Then what I do is take the end, fold it over, but instead of folding it over outside of the quilt, I put half of the binding on one side and half of the binding on this side, and fold it over the other arm. And then when I fold it down, it looks cute and perfect. Get another binder clip. And then I already have the rest of them, the rest of the binding put on, kind of. I'll have to straighten it as I go just because I was using the binder clips, but it'll be fine. It's very thick, so go slow. Sometimes if it's getting kind of wrinkly, you can make sure the needle is down in the fabric, but then lift the presser foot just so you can manipulate the fabric around it and kind of push the excess back behind where you've already been. It is my intent to just turn the corner, but I don't know if I can. And while the needle's in there, lift up the presser foot and pivot the entire piece around. And put the presser foot down again and go. Anytime you're going over a place where there are lots of seams, where there's even more, make sure you slow down. Especially if you're dealing with a thick fabric like denim or something, because you'll definitely break a needle. Needle in the fabric and pivot one last time. We still have thread. Couple layers, so we should be good. Presser foot down. Last binder clip. That's it. I'm going to clear my space and then show off the quilt. Get all the little fuzzy pieces off of it. But here is the final quilt. This is again the pinwheel design, and I just did a single quilting stitch across to kind of divide it up and make it a little poofy. and make it actually be a quilt. It has some thickness to it with the batting, the 2 layers of batting that we used, and put the contrasting color binding around the edge. And here's what the back looks like. So once again, I hope I have demystified crafting to make a lap quilt for yourself, showed errors and mistakes and how to pivot from them so that you can end up with a final result you can be proud of. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos in the future, please hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like announcements of when a new video is available, ring the little bell. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I hope to see you next time on Curiosity Kitten, where I demystify making.